Greetings. I hope all is progressing well. Welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic is about benefits of science of reading, though how reading may improve, how one may engage reading through different parameters to ensure individuals are reading more. Not only because of a requirement being set in connection with reading, though in connection with pure interest of reading. Why might one want to read a physical book? Why is a culture in a home engaging with reading in a way that really resonates with reading a physical book well, enjoyably, versus a culture that may not contribute to engaging with enjoying reading a physical book? I find the research, which you may connect to through the article link, which is a link in the summary of the YouTube channel. I find the research in connection with the science of reading proving beneficial good to acknowledge for any that may not have any grounding to begin with. If one has a good foundational base for approaching reading, then I think reading with the foundational base and growing with other tests of reading parameters that are effective not only for others, though in a broader sense, in use in an educational environment, proving to be effectively engaging reading well. So one may find if a method works, then one may adopt the method to better improve reading, to better approach reading, or at least differently approach reading a physical text, particularly, though reading generally. So one may find what works for one at one period and what might not work for one at another period. And I think the article really brings about questioning, well, what else might be that affects how one approaches reading. Of course, considering how if a family has books in a home, bookshelves in a home, then that is symbolically, though, according to research, so according to evidence, what may be contributing to a good culture of reading in a home by having the books present. Now, engaging with the books is another level, another method. How one engages with the books, another level. So the research is showing connections between creating cultures of reading at home. So reading is more so enjoyable than simply attempting to justify reading in connection with a parameter that may seemingly be a requirement that doesn't engage necessarily with an individual's interests, with an individual's enjoyments, if one will. Our next topic is about the relationship between the superintendent and student outcomes. And of course, when assessing education, one may observe how there are so many different layers of employment within education. So when any program is effective, when any initiative is effective, how might one be able to examine whether the success is due to one parameter or another far beyond a teacher. And one may understand a program and initiative are quite different depending on an educational environment. The article mentions how so much variability is within the atmosphere of education in attempting to understand not necessarily purpose of a superintendent or any leader in connection with the superintendent, whether that be directly at the school or externally in connection with the school. The reality around effectiveness of programs and initiatives stands out very much so. So when one is attempting to understand what is effective and what is not effective, whether that be in a good way or otherwise, one may be able to connect directly with the programming and be able to engage with how programming is going through implementation processes. Now, where does the programming come from? Where does the initiative come from? Many questions are in between when a school might give teacher a lot of leeway with the curriculum. Then one may be able to assess, well, the teacher is initiator, is implementer, and if otherwise, then one may say the program is responsible. Whoever is responsible for implementing the program or initiative then will be able to navigate what is being effective in connection with that individual or individuals. So when assessing how a superintendent is in connection with student outcomes, particularly, one finds many questions to answer of the educational atmosphere, particularly, as well as what is in connection with the superintendent directly that affects student outcomes. Again, questioning how might one even assess outcomes depending on a role. So every educational environment may prove different, though of course assessing big picture, what the article discusses with urban populations, one may find attending to higher populations may require more attention to programming and initiatives and figuring how implementation is happening on a school by school basis, more so than district by district basis, and having both forms of data to work with to be able to navigate what benefits or otherwise the contribution of the program or initiative introducer is having. All right, next we're going to get into some origami. So first things first, we have to fold this origami in half. We're going edge to edge. Afterward, we're going to fold in each corner. Okay. After we fold in each corner, we're going to turn the page around and we're actually going to fold in. So you see we folded in these corners. We're going to fold in the next portion as so. So we're going to want this flare. You're not going to really want that diamond in the back there. You're going to want this portion here. Okay, good. So the next thing from this point is we're going to actually fold up here. So we have a fold we're going to make here where we take the I'm gonna make sure I do this right. So just as you have the instructions to fold in this next portion from here, I have the instructions as well. So I'm gonna check them out real quick so you can get this clearly. Yeah, so I'm right here on the right track here. So we're gonna fold these legs up here. All right, we're gonna fold them up and they'll meet in the middle. Now you might see some overlap, that's all right if you see overlap. Okay, you see that? There's a little bit of overlap. And next, we're going to bend out just a little bit. And when I say a little bit, we're gonna look at this point. So once you bend it out, you'll see this portion, the point of the triangle will meet there. And that's where you wanna bend out. Okay, next, from here, we're gonna fold the top portion down in half. Then we're also gonna fold it back up just a little bit here. And as you can see, we're starting to really form the form of our origami frog here. And the next step is we actually have to make a little fold, so like a triangle fold up here. And we'll make sure we get this right. So we do this little triangle fold. So it's like a little triangle fold right here, right? It's a little triangle fold right there. And then we're gonna just keep going here. Another one, right? Okay, so then once we have this fold, these are so small, these folds here. Once we have them, you can see them, we're gonna actually open up the fold. So we're gonna bend in here and we're just gonna open up the fold a little wider. Since this is so small, this fold is gonna actually look a little bit different than what you see in the photo. But the idea is to create, and when I mention the photo and the instructionals, the idea is to create a triangle portion here, okay? And we're just gonna open it up. Bring our finger in here, and then we're gonna create a triangle portion. This area of the fold, it just really gives it a different formation for the head and the arms. And so it can be really nice to have, okay? Afterward, we're gonna actually get to turn this over. And so as we turn this over, we're gonna basically put a little fold in here in the end portion. You'll see that you can extend it a little bit. Make a little bit of the pleat is the term that goes into use. So it's kind of like an uneven folding here, but it just gives us a little bit more dynamic with the tail. It doesn't have to be extreme, but just a little bit. You can see it can give a nice little bit of a touch there. And the instructions, you can definitely get way more into it in terms of how you want your turtle to form. And then all the instructions really say afterward is just to make these open up. So, open these up a little bit, and then here you go. You have your, easier to see this way, you have your origami turtle. And here you go, here it is right here. All right. Next. Reading a physical book has so many benefits. So I champion reading physical books due to all that one may healthfully gain by reading a physical book. Through spatial development, science longer than most people alive today. When I say longer, around longer than most people alive today. So with that, the book we'll be discussing, Beyond the 80-20 Principle. The text still champions Pareto's law, the 80-20 principle, though applies the 80-20 principle through universal, natural, other scientific laws that are very much available, though not only in a theoretical sense, in a practical sense, to connect the 80-20 principle practically with the other laws that wonderfully work to encourage one to navigate with the particular laws, not to waste, though to healthful benefit. I think the text proves extremely well, just as the 80-20 principle, though I do find beyond the 80-20 principle to be of a different tone, seemingly calmer, seemingly of a different excitement in comparison to the 80-20 principle, which I feel is really high energy and wonderful to read and great to implement. So I think the text beyond the 80-20 principle offers wonderful information, wonderful insight to practically value, and both texts together may work extremely well for one seeking to helpfully analyze life personally. Thank you for joining another episode of I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.